Thanks for sticking around on a Saturday. We changed up our schedule a little bit so we can have 3 sessions before lunch, and hopefully that's kind of keeping everybody come back. And we actually have a few more than we normally do on a Saturday, so that's been really good for us. RPM, they're not here right now. Usually they have a representative coming in, but they are sponsoring this room. And you probably heard this already today or yesterday if you've been on a team here. But RPM does a lot of stuff for high jump pits, pole vault pits. They got the measuring stuff, anything you need for pole vault or high jump, actually for anything. Go ahead and talk to them. They do an outstanding job. And they're stationed right here in Minnesota too. So. All right, today for our last 2 sessions, we've got Paul Herda here, Coach Herda from Rockford. And when I looked at his bio because he was up for assistant coach of the year. It's like, oh boy, most people have this little small space of what they did throughout the year. He was like this big, with a lot of accomplishments about pole vault. I'm like, I gotta call this guy up. So I think you guys will be entertained. He's brought gifts for us, so we've got some writing utensils and everything for you guys. But I think you're gonna find out a lot because he coaches probably a kid like me who doesn't know what a pole vault is, all the way up to the elite the high kids all the way through. So I think you're gonna get a lot out of this. So I'm done. Let's let him go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Hey, welcome. Good morning. I coach at Rockford, and but I didn't start there. You know, you got to work your way up from wherever you can to Rockford. I started at Minnetonka, and so don't feel bad for me or anything, but that's everybody's got to start somewhere. And then I spent I was hired. That was my first gig, hired by the late great Joe Lane, and so I've been affected quite a bit by the coaches that I've been able to serve under. Joe Lane started me out, and that's a good start. And then Pete Robinette at Sauk Rapids, and then I got hired at St. John's and St. Ben's when the NCAA started, gave women the right to pole vault. So I started the program out there. Keep track of time too here. And that was a blast too. I had more fun coaching the women than the guys. I coached both the Johnnies and the Bennies, and of course St. John's D3 kids came in with a lot of bad habits. 4 years of bad habits, and they were athletes, but they were fairly set in their ways. Versus being at St. Ben's, where I had athletes with 0 experience, but a lot of gymnastics background. That it was, and they were real eager to learn, and we had a lot of great success out there. Then I came back to Buffalo and coached our son to a state championship in 2013, and he had the school record, the conference record, the section record, and the state meet record. And so I thought, well, let's just let that be and see how long they last if I go somewhere else. So I went just down the road to Rockford, and that's been just such a blessing. And I'm going to spend a bit of time in this first session talking about that and how it relates to the success of the pole vault program. And hopefully you can take some nuggets from that. The second session today, the next session, is going to be all drills and videos of drills that I think are extremely helpful. It's the ones that we kind of focus on. I wish I'd had 2 hours to do that one, but I tried to squeeze in that one. That session's going to have to go fast because I got a lot of information in that I want to get out. At Rockford, then it was just a kind of a match made in heaven, and everything works together. We've been able to send. This will be my 12th year, but we had COVID thrown in there, so and that was truly unfortunate for us. I'm sure for everybody, but we had a game put together to do some wild stuff that year. So taking that out, it's been 11 years, 10 years. 10 years I've been there, and we've sent 24 kids to the state meet and had 5 state champs. So, so the things that I'm gonna say, here, I feel really weigh heavy in how that played out. So let's get going. And I'm gonna cross my fingers that all this works. So this is how I coach the ball. And like John Francis says a lot, there's more than one way to vault, right? And there's lots of ways to coach because every kid has its own their own way of reacting even to the same thing that's being said. But I really handstands and at Rockford, this facility out there. When I started in 2014, it was brand new. We had brand new pits, brand new track, and this rainbow stays over the track all the time. So I don't know if it's been up there, but pretty cool. I don't get it, but we do a lot of handstands. Evidently, that's what we do. I have a thing. I like to use humor with the vaulter, with the whole team. I kind of actually when Chad's not there for announcements right away because he runs a business, and I'm there, then I have to be in charge of the jokes, So there's still little jokes, but why are bees so sticky? Anyone? No? Because they use honeycombs. That's bad. And they're all that bad. And I get groans all the time from 110 kids, all at the same time. It's a little crushing, but I take it. I don't know what you guys do on spring break, but usually we have a meet, and then I also coach a summer club, USATF club, Zero Gravity, and in both cases, if kids leave the program for a vacation that they don't invite me on, then they don't get to come back. And I tell them, it's great. I'm happy for your opportunity to go to Mexico, but you don't get just to come back. So it's been nice. It's been nice getting to know you. And if they don't know the gig already, they get a little crushed. And I tell them, well, there's one way you can come back in, and that is if you, wherever you go, you have to find the coolest place imaginable and take a picture of yourself doing a handstand and get it back to me before you get back, and then that's your way back into the club or jokingly on the track team. So I have pictures of kids doing handstands, not all over the world, but in a lot of places, and pretty cool stuff. Some of the things that we do, and I don't know how unique it is because I don't know your programs, and I don't know that it needs to be anything more than special. I think it's special. I don't think it needs to be unique or should be unique. But obviously, a lot of college programs add yoga into their scheme of things. And so I had a little bit of college background. Our head coach, Chad Roban, he just won if you were at the banquet last night, he won the Coach of the Year for the AA, and he's the boys and the girls coach. And so we have a gal that owns a yoga place in town, and so she comes once a week. It's not always on Friday. It depends, during the season how the meet days are playing out, But she'll come typically the day after the meet to get everybody kind of back in order, We also have a gal that runs a strength and fitness club in town, and she does all our lifting, all our weight, all our strength program. Do you guys have an app to keep track of that kind of thing at your school? Anybody? Do do you remember the name of the app? I'm losing it. Yeah, there's this app that, you know, and she'll put out there what kind of Olympic lifts and stuff for the kids to do different, you know, and she has it for the weight group and for the sprinters and for distance even, and so they click off on that thing as they're doing it. She gets that report at night, and then by next morning, Chad has that report, and then we know who, you know, there's a lot of, you know, personal responsibility in that, but I think we've seen it play out pretty well. There she is. That's just this year. Like I say, it was new in 2014, and so it's on 12 years now. And this was the white pit on the top is what we started with the track. We have two pits. This is just a training pit. When Buffalo put theirs together, their new track, and we've got a new pit and everything. It was wonderful out of Buffalo, and then right away, it was real soon after that some straight line winds came through and blew the pit all into the fence and tore everything and ruined the standards and everything. And they threw everything away except for the pit they put in a shed. It was there for a couple of years before I remembered, and our son coaches at Buffalo now, and says, "That pit's still there?" And I'm telling you this because a second pit is wonderful, and it doesn't have to be expensive. If you can find a second pit, this was brand new until it got ripped, so it wasn't in terrible shape. But we paid Buffalo $2,000 for it, and so it was well worth the deal because now we can compete and vault on the white pit, and then do all of our drills and stuff like that on the other pit. And I have quite a bit of a few athletes to deal with, and so it really comes in handy to have that second pit. I'm sure a lot of you guys are in the same boat. Okay, so here's audience participation time. What makes a good, successful program, football program? Anybody? And if you can give me top three, that'd be great. Anybody? Equipment is probably, would that be number one? I would say that'd be number one. What else?
Vaulters. Yeah.
What's that?
Vaulters.
Vaulters, exactly. Exactly. And to round out really the top three would be, it'd be nice if you had somebody that knew what they were doing, coaching the thing. And so, I'm hoping we can, and we all have our own experiences. I was saying, I hope we can, go back and really get to it. I'm sure that, every one of you could stand up here and say, tell us some things that we don't know, right? So that's what I love about the community of track and field in general, but I think especially in the pole vault, where I always feel like we're a little bit of the, redheaded stepchild off to the side. We're kind of like, okay, you vaulters, just go on, do your own thing, and we'll be over here at the track running in circles. Okay, it's handy. But in my summer club, I've always invited coaches from wherever, that I could not put it out in some news report, but coaches that I come in contact with, they know that they can just drop in at Zero Gravity at Rockford here in the summer, and they can either help coach or just hang out and be with, typically a lot of times, their athletes that have come to the program from their school, and so they can see what their athletes are doing, and then kind of just continue that back in March when it starts up again. So yes, I think we kind of nailed them, and they're pieced together like a puzzle. But on top is poles, lots and lots of poles. A coach doesn't hurt, and athletes are tremendous, and that was something that like at Minnetonka, it seemed like I was getting the kids that weren't fast enough to sprint, weren't strong enough to throw, weren't, this and that, and couldn't jump real well. And so that was a little bit more like, beating it. And then, from Minnetonka to Sauk Rapids, I spent a little bit of time at Tech, and then St. John, St. Ben's, Buffalo, and then out at Rockford. And so I'm piecing this all together. So when I get to Rockford, finally, I go, okay, I'd love to come and coach your vaulters. They were looking at the time, but hey, can you do two things for me? I need, I looked at your pole inventory and it's almost non-existent. So what we need is like 4 poles a year, and I need an athlete. I need an athlete. Throw me a bone every once in a while, because slow athletes don't pole vault. Well, it's just not going to happen. And I was kind of lucky too that the superintendent at that time was really a fan of gymnastics. And so when he met me and I told him of what I was looking for, oh, gymnastics, yeah, I'll get some girls over there, and he did, and it was really kind of cool. Anybody raise your hand? Oh, that's another thing that we need is a tailwind. I don't know if you saw that. That was a tailwind. Who's rented from Flight Deck Athletics? Anybody rented from Flight Deck? No. We do all our pole acquisitions from Flight Deck, and so that's my 11 years at Rockford and 55 poles, plus some others that we don't really use. But we do some creative, and we're pretty good at fundraising. We've tried some different things, and I'm sure that that's something that everybody looks for because everybody needs poles. I still need poles. I still have gaps in that line. And it works out really good at Flight Deck. I told Chad we need 4 new poles a year, and so what we have at Flight Deck is if you buy 4, you get the 5th one free. So I'm actually getting 5 poles a year because that's how we do it. We rent 5, and then at Flight Deck you can if one of the poles that I kind of thought, well, this kid is going to use that pole and he'll be able to really spend some time on it, and he blows through it right away and it's worthless. Steve will take that in, for an exchange fee, and I'll get something that does work. And so the poles kind of go back and forth as kids progress through the season, and then at the end of the season, I'll buy those 5 poles out because we've done our fundraising by that time and we have something in the bank. So that's worked out really, really good for us. The basics, I'm just going to try to fly through some of this. Where we at? Obviously, I'll mention the safety thing because it's important, right? We don't want kids to get injured. The high school league has kind of baked in a lot of it for us with the helmets and the weight ratings on the poles and the dreaded box collars, and I like the new one. The last couple of years ago they put in that no runbacks, on meet day, and that was getting scary. I don't know about where you guys are at, but out in our area there was a lot of that going on, and I don't terribly mind that. It's not how I would have a kid get a step, because the wind's blowing this way and then you're running it back that way, and then it's not the same. Or what I used to see a lot was a kid, he'll get his pole and he gets up at the box, this one, and gets his step and turns around, and then when he runs back, his coach is back there, he's going to get his mark, and he runs past the coach just like this, and the coach gets his mark, right? Well, what's the problem with that? you in front. The problem is he's comparing apples to oranges at that point. If you're going to run this way, and at the end of it, you're going to interfere with your step and to put the plant up, then you may as well do that on the way back, right? Does that make sense? Why run through without planting and then go this way and plant? It's not gonna be the same. And also, we're trying to set the meat up to go with the wind again, and then running it back against the wind, and it was really close a couple times where the pole almost caught a guy in the noggin. Because we have our high jump right there also. So there's a lot of kids in that area. But aside from the actual vaulting, do be aware of your drills that you're doing, and we try to be pretty aggressive with the drills, and so to be aware of what could be a danger in that area too. The other thing I want to say, what I didn't get to yet is just a show of hands. Who's been coaching the vault longer than 10 years, we'll say? No? 5 years? Okay. So everybody's basically 5 years and then who's like the first, haven't done it yet? Awesome, awesome. You guys, I'll pray for you and I'll support you any way that I can. We need you. It's of those hands, those first year, who's coaching a young coach, well, first, second, third year, and has never vaulted before? You guys, bless you. It's that you, and I don't mean this in any kind of discouraging way, but that's you taking on a tough gig. I hope you have the support that that I was talking about. That your head coach is going to treat you with athletes, treat you well with poles. If you don't have them, get them somehow. But do find a mentor, somebody in the conference or whatever that you can bounce ideas off. I don't know of a single coach, experienced or otherwise, for that matter, who won't talk your ear off if you ask him a question about the ball. It's kind of like I was thinking about it the other night. Why is it like that? But who else is like that? And I've never taught in elementary school, but it reminds me of what I've heard about teachers that spend their whole day with the kids, and they're doing little elementary school things, and then by the time the day's over, I just want to talk to an adult. I just want to talk to an adult, and so we just want to. We spend hours with coaches that say left, right, you're doing great, left, right, and we just want to do what I'm doing today, and that's why I'm doing it. Is that I just want to throw stuff out there and help in any way that I can. One thing I've come across a number of first year coaches and coaches that have never vaulted before in the last 25 years, and try to avoid this. If you've never vaulted before, would you say that the pole vault's a dangerous or not dangerous event? In general.
Dangerous?
Yeah, possible. Yeah. I mean, you're leaving the ground, you're getting upside down, and the better you are, the higher you're going, and that picket's smaller and smaller the higher you go. There's logical reasons to be concerned, but here's what I have seen, and I've actually talked to the coaches when I see it in a real gentle way. But first of all, take baby steps. You know, find ways to go from A to X, Y, Z. You know, by going to A and then B and then C and then D. You know, I always tell my kids, shoot for the moon, but in doing so, find the stairway. You know, don't just try to get to there. Take it. I don't say take it slow, but take it. You know, take it real small steps. But what I've seen is, and if you take small steps, if you know how to progress a kid, and you can progress them fast, but it's small steps. If you find that way, and there's lots of source on YouTube and stuff. You can just Google up anything. Google up on YouTube. If you knew. If you know what you're trying to get them to do, and then can communicate to them what you want them to do and why, so that everybody's really on the same page, then that will ease a lot of the. Because I used to feel that too. My first few years coaching, and I had vaulted. I'm asking a kid to do some stuff that I would have done, in the past, but I'm not sure about this kid. I know how I would handle it, but there were times, I still remember, times when I'd send kids down the runway and, here, you need to move up a pole or a drill or whatever. And when they first did it, I was like, I got my fingers crossed and I'm hoping for the best. But because at that time, I wasn't taking the smallest steps that I could have. But if you do that, and you have some knowledge and trust in your athlete, that'll help. But I brought this whole thing up to say, what you don't want to do is put your fears of what could go wrong in the kid, right? Don't communicate your fear into the kid. So be always positive and that go get 'em attitude, so that they can be successful. Because after you take care of the safety part of it, the people, hopefully, if you have the right kids, the kid that you're working with is an animal, and he wants to do this, and he's physically ready. Hopefully he's mentally on board, and he knows what is being asked of him, because they won't have success unless they attack with fearless abandon the things they must master, and among them fear itself. A lot of kids get those mental blocks. We had a session yesterday about that. So again, this is just kind of a graphic representation. We got to make it small steps, make it easy for them to go from A to B, and not ask them to go from A to H. That's a tough thing to ask. So how do we help them? Over the years, I've come up with some things that I think work really good. And a lot of it was really cemented at Rockford because of the situation there. I'm gonna, do I have time? I'm gonna get a little personal for a second. When I first said that I was gonna go coach at Rockford, my wife said, "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea." And I said, "Well, why not? I don't know what kind of success you're gonna have there, because I went to Delano, and they were kind of always known as the not so, kind of the armpit of the Wright County in sports." And I found out that was really true. Even when we came on board in 2014, Chad was there in 2013. There was a kind of a palpable, I can't, I'm not, I'll try things, but I know Rockford had never won a state title in anything, and they were it seemed just fine with that. And so it was, we knew we kind of had a little bit of an uphill battle, but I think because we coach the pole vault, a lot of kids may not see it, may not see the success that you want for the kids. So we started doing this motivational thoughts thing, and what we do is the kids lay down actually physically and put their hands out and put their heads down so that they can close their eyes and not be influenced by anything else except for the words being said. This one is a few minutes long. I kind of want you to experience what it would be like if you were a kid that's unsure of things. How this might make you feel. Where's mine? You're not rah motivational things. They're motivational
What
thoughts.
if things don't end up like they're supposed to? What if this work, this energy I've invested doesn't pay off? What if I stay average? What if my story was never meant to be unique? What if I try and I fail? What if my friends stop calling? What if I let my family down? What if people don't like what I have to say? What if my idea is a little too out there? What if I'm pushing things too far, too quickly? What if the worst possible scenario happens? What if I lose everything? What if success is for someone else? What if I'm meant to work, to pay bills, and to sleep? What if the starting role is just too much for me? What if I was a born follower? What if I never find happiness? What if I don't choose the right path? What if I get lost? What if I can never be as good as the person standing next to me? What if a life of meaning will always be something I'll have to stare up at, wishing, dreaming? Or what if I just change the way I look at the world? What if today is just the beginning? What if I decide who I'm going to be and become it? What if my actions can create a ripple effect that will transcend space and time? What if impossible isn't fact? What if it's opinion? And what if I don't buy it? What if this new world means that existence starts with me? What if I can be the one people look up to? What if my past got me here but has no effect on where I can go? What if every single day is a fresh start? What if I can be the one who defies the odds? What if my dreams become the standard? What if my ideas change how people see reality? What if the term difficult is nothing more than a cop-out? What if my doubters ignite the flame that is my success? What if my fear of mediocrity overcomes my fear of the unknown? What if second place is no longer an option? What if I made the choice to live every second of my life like it's a miracle? And what if that's exactly what every second is? What if it's time to start living like it? To start thinking like it? To never sell myself short? What if nothing good happens until I believe it? What if I stopped wasting my time trying to convince others? Because I am the only one who must be convinced.
I came on board in 2014. We started doing this Motivational Mondays thing a couple years later, maybe, when I found this guy, Eddie Pinero. And so 2016, and the girls won the state title in 2021. and we could feel the change in the temperature of the room at practices, and it was pretty cool. But as vaulters, we need to keep that stiff upper lip and be able to push through some scary, doubtful, questionable times, that kind of thing. And they need all the help they can get. So, be behind them. The other thing that Chad really is a big proponent of is family. That our team, we're boys and girls together, and we're not only that, but we're 7 through 12. So, a family plays a huge part in how the kids feel about the program and how we feel about the kids. A few years back, we implemented the 212 system. Anybody familiar with what 212 means in general? You can heat water to 211 degrees, and what you have is hot water. If you bump it up one more degree to 212, you have steam. And with steam, you have power. You can power a locomotive. You can transport goods. You have a lot of possibilities with 212. So we have it on just about everything. That this was printed a while ago, but everything new that we have has 212 on it. And the kids have really taken that on. They know that at every practice they come in at 211, and by the end they have to be 212, and they have to be more productive than they were the day before. And that's been paying off huge. We require maturity in the sense that if I'm asking a kid to do a drill, they need to know what I mean. They need to know exactly what I'm asking of them and why I'm asking them to do it, right? If they don't do the drill. They have to stop and ask for themselves and for whoever else might be confused. It does no good with, like you say, the fear and I'll just say danger involved, possibility thereof. They need to know exactly what it is, and we need to push them. We can't just, okay, that sounds a little dangerous, let's not do that. You have to make it safe. You have to make sure they know what they're doing, and then push ahead with fearless abandon. And if a vaulter is being asked by another coach to do the long jump, and then another coach can he also run 100? Can she also run the hurdles? That kind of thing. And our athletes have to know and do know that they can say, they can come up to the head coach, Chad's the hurdle coach, and if he's telling, you can vault today, but I'd also like to run the 100s and the 300s hurdles. And they have the right to say, look, I appreciate what you're doing, but I'll do one of the two. We're not in the business of pushing the kids to get hurt from any sense of what could happen. Notebooks. You see the notebooks on the chairs. That's I almost take nothing else away today. I have 7 through 12, like I say, and boys and girls. So if I only have one per grade, that's what 12 kids. For 12 kids to coach just on its face is a lot. So I'm coaching them one day, and then the next day they have something else that they're doing, some training stuff or whatever. And then the day after that they come back to the ball, and all 12 of them start asking me, "Hey coach, what pole was I on the other day? How far was I coming from? What was my grip height?" I don't know. I tell them it's not my job to know what you were doing, because I can't follow all that. You need to get a notebook, and they know this ahead of time, but get a notebook and write things down. It's a journal of sorts of just the vault. They're going to write down those kind of things. What what poles they were using, what, approach length they were coming from, if it was short or long, how many lefts, what kind of day it was, was it's gonna be important eventually that they know if that was a tailwind day and they were coming from 89 feet, versus now there's no wind, how do I make those adjustments? I want them to be intelligent kids, and know how to do those kind of things for themselves. But every little detail that they can put in there, how they feel about that practice and why they feel that way. There's a lot that they can look back on, and I'll tell them, if they ask me a question that should be in their book, I will just look at I know the answer to that is in your notebook. Good. It's kind of my job as a coach, I feel, especially in the vault, to expand their comfort zone, if I can on a daily, meeting, every day we meet. And doing so, become a different person today than they were before they came into the practice. If you come in with a certain amount of knowledge, strength, belief, and you learn something, hopefully we teach them something every day, especially about the vault. There's lots to it, and then they get a little more physical from drills that they succeed at. That can change what they believe about themselves and change their goals. That's a different person that walks out of track practice than walked into track practice, and that's something that I keep in mind seriously every day. Something that goes right along with that is we have a never try attitude, and I don't know how you take that. It's just hearing it on its face, but we don't try things. We do things. It's like that. There's a little meme of Yoda that was going around a long time ago about what was it? Do or do not. There is no try. I don't. As coaches, we don't say try. We don't say, hey, that was it. That was a good ball, but next time try to get your hand up higher. That's not what's coming. It's next time you need to get your hand up all the way. The sacrifice that you make in angle and penetration ability from here to here is huge, dude. You can't sacrifice that. You've got to get that plant up. So it's when you say, hey, try this, and they say, okay, coach, I'll try that. What does that do? What are you saying? You're saying, well, could happen, could not. Maybe try it harder next time or something. So we just want to get rid of that thought that they're going to have, that they could have failure. I don't want them to think that they could be, not efficient at the thing. Basics, really fast. Before we get to the drills that are going to come up in the next session. Just kind of so we're on the same page, and there's different language for it, but really I like to just break it down for the kids to 4 parts. You're generating energy, you're transferring that energy into the pole, you're getting yourself into position, and then you're getting that energy back. That energy is coming back to you, and you're going to extend up and turn. A lot of kids extend out and turn down, and so we want to always be making them aware that gravity is, we will defeat you. We're gonna get the best. Gravity's always going to win eventually, but let's try to fight it off as long as we can. So, of course, generate energy is all about mass times acceleration, the force that they are going to be able to put into the pole by their speed. So, I don't know if anybody recognizes this guy, but this video only takes about 10.37 seconds. Oh no, it's not, the audio is not coming through. Mondo takes out first, he's got to go into that, and the guy just ran like a racehorse announcer. But Mondo competed against the world record holder in the 400 hurdles, and he beat him with the okay for that. Oh. Okay, we see. Let's throw that out. Our vaulters are always sprinters first, and Chad knows that that's how the vault works with speed. So he does give me athletes, and he gives me the best athletes. And what we have found out is he'll give me a gem, and knowing that that gem is going to sprint, and then they're going to come to vault practice. And then I'm going to use that athlete to create a pretty kick-butt vaulter. And again, I might get that kid instead of like a freshman or junior year, I get him in 7th or 8th grade. And so Ryan just graduated last year. He was a 3-time state champ. That can happen when you start him in 7th grade and can work through the stuff. By freshman, he's pretty accomplished. But then after that, it was where we found the special thing happens, is that because I always say, partially, I'm partial to it, but if you can vault, you can do anything. Like Mondo there, running a 10-3. I don't know. Does anybody know how long he long jump? I bet he could throw it out there, 20-some feet. But our kids become vaulters. The first state champ I had went off then to set the record in the high jump, and Ryan set the record, or Hawkins set the record after going to state in the vault, set the school record in the triple jump, and Brian set the record in the 100 and the long jump, and so Chad, our head coach, knows that he's not it's like, you're not losing a daughter, you're gaining a son, when they get married, that kind of thing. He's not losing an athlete when he sends them to the vault. He's getting a vaulter and a sprinter and a vaulter and a jumper, or whatever the case is. So it's never a downside. So then we got we've generated the energy. We need to transfer the energy, and this involves the first of the 2 points in the vault that really separate the kids that will and won't be successful. Let's see. And that is the bottom arm. That's where the energy gets transferred through. And if you can get a kid to overcome the mental block of running down the runway full speed and then sticking that pole in the ground and have them really transfer that energy efficiently without moving that bottom arm, you got to start to it. That's going to be awesome. So we're going to maximize the energy, and we're going to do that not just with the bottom arm, but everything is involved. The takeoff foot, inside, outside, right on where it should be. The drive knee is going to help things continue that energy into the pole and through into the pit. Top arm, and all these will have drills in the next session to work on these things. Top arm, it has to be right here, not here, not there, not any other place that it's possible. Anywhere they could be, and they need to really nail down what how accurate they are. So then after transferring, then you're positioning yourself, and that's has a lot to do with the kind of gymnastic ability also. But that bottom arm, once you get a kid to really press through a pole like that, that is such a great feeling that's all they want to do, and they want to continue that vault with that arm out there. And so we do a drill called the press and release drill, and so that kid that I just showed pressing the pole hard through spent the regular time enjoying that and not being successful vaulting because he couldn't get off of that and then get his body inverted. So we do a press and release drill. It takes him a little while to get the hang of it, but he's gonna press really good, but also come to the pole. That gets him, like halfway there. If you see that position where he closes it off and he's become one with the pole there, it's not gonna pause. And then all you have to do is speed that up so that angle right there becomes where his position is as he gets to 90 degrees, and then he can shoot off the top of the pole. So all that stuff works together like a charm. And then, like I say, we do a lot of gymnastic stuff as much as we can. We do have access. I can call up the gymnastics coach for the high school team. Their facility is in another building, but we can schedule time to go over there and do, mess around with their equipment, and that's a real helpful. It's good to have a relationship with that person and that equipment if you can. So then the extension and turning up the pole, you see it all the time where a vaulter swings up and then swings down over the bar right there. They swing up, not all the way, kind of about here, and then because they haven't swung all the way back, as soon as they start to pull, they're going to flag away from the pole, right? You've seen that. Heels drop and they go over on their back and then sometimes turn late, and there's just a mess involved with that can be worked out, and I have some drills in the next session for that. So that is what this is kind of lays the groundwork for the next session. Hopefully you have the time to come back and be a part of that. But that's kind of how I see things. That's how the things that I think that we've done at Rockford, I want to share because I think it was at least successful in our situation. So, take and run with whatever you feel comfortable with, but we're always trying to look for ways to improve that relationship with our athletes and build on their success. That old saying of success begets success. We, started in 2014 with very little success. That's before Chad came on board and got the track renewed. Rockford couldn't even hold track meets. It was that kind of track situation. It had fallen apart. I don't know how many years they had never had a home meet. And so that meant that kids came and went, coaches came and went. It was kind of something difficult to step into. But when I left Buffalo and our son graduated, I had this thought in my head that there are our son's name is Mitch, and I had to think that there are Mitches in every school. There's gems in there. I kind of think that every school has the kids there able to win a state championship. They're there. You've got them in your school. We just have to flush them out. We have to encourage them to want to. Sometimes, like in our son's case, it was he finally came to the realization that I have to kind of be an adult enough to break from my friends group. He had always just done football, basketball, and baseball because that's what the whole friend group did. But they're out there, and it's been a tremendous ride going from zero to a state championship, and I would wish that for everybody, and because I think it's there. So, thanks for being here. There's there's 5 more minutes left. I don't want to cheat you out of anything. So does anybody have any questions? Anything you want to throw out there for the group? Any experience that you have had or want to have? The notebooks are for you. I seriously want you to take the notebook home. It's just a cheap little notebook, but what I want it to do is remind you of that little nugget that get your kids to have notebooks, and they will mature. They will, they'll have way more success when they take on, when they become a student of the event. And I tell my kids, if you liked math, you wouldn't come to math class without a notebook. You would want to write some stuff down that you think is important. And the kids that don't get a notebook right away and start using it, I can pretty much count on them not, coming back next year, or in a couple of weeks they're going to be over their launch over, because it's easier. There's less to it. Anything?
Sorry, do you have them hang on to their notebooks?
Yes. They hang on to the notebooks. They have it in their track bag with their spikes and everything else. Good question. It reminded me. Often a kid will say, how about if I just keep those notes on my phone? Nope. I want them writing it down. What's one reason you don't want them to have it in their phone? What's that?
Probably never look at it.
They might never look at it again. I know I have stuff on my phone that's like, weird. But how about when we get to sections and state? They can't have their phone on them. So, and the other part about it is, those studies that have been done about, if you hear something, you remember it for a length of time, and if you, smell, taste, and write it down, there's some physical, the more engagement they have with that information, the more they're going to know it and be able to recall that kind of stuff. So, physical notebook, write it down, and I give them time at the end of the day to, as I'm cleaning some stuff up, they are gonna, write some notes down, and then I can, like, where's your notebook? Oh, I forgot it in my locker. And I want them to feel enough pressure that they're gonna bring it every day. I'm not gonna let them get away with that.
So if they don't, do you give them a punishment for not bringing a notebook, or what do you?
I haven't. I've threatened. Well, if you don't bring a notebook and want to be, a student of the vault, then I know Coach Dickman is really needing some more 2-milers. So there's your options.
Can you talk about how you manage training and practices, like when you've got sprinters and sprint group, they're working on handoffs on the same day that we're having a jump day, and how you work in a meet day, a rain day, and how you get
It's difficult having that many kids from that wide of range, of skill levels and abilities. Every year we're trying different things, honestly, but we have found that that I pretty much stay in place at the vault, at the pit, right? And Chad and Jake are doing sprints and some handoffs. If you're fast enough, you're going to be on a relay, right? So, and then our weight coach is down in the weight room, and so the kids move around and get as much done as they can. Now, as they get more mature, and they're going to need to be doing more. Us junior and senior are going to be doing, be on those relays and this and that and the thing. What we found, luckily, very appreciatively, that as they get older, there are only so many hours in the day. and they'll do their warm up, they'll do their sprint workout, they'll come to me to vault, they may go to long jump then after that, but those kids are gonna do their weight program after practice. You know, it's on that app. They know exactly what lifts are being asked to do that day, and that app shows them how to do it. They've got little short videos, and so they get it done, and we just appreciate the heck out of that. And those are the kids that we can count on. At the same time, as vault coaches, like a long jump coach is gonna need the long jump pit. Well, that's kind of it's similar. The vault coach is gonna need the pole vault pit, the runway, the poles, but not always. As you'll see in the next session, there's a lot of stuff we can do without a runway and poles. There's a lot of drills, and over the years I've gathered all the apparatus, right? So if I see a rain day coming up, I'll get with the RCC, our indoor facility, and there's a dance studio. You'll see there's a dance studio that has open, rafter beams, whatever, and I'll call the custodian, and he'll bring down his 12-foot ladder, and I have my the rope and the rings and the invert pulley drill and the all these, and I'll set stuff up. There'll be 6 stations, and if we can't go outside, find ways to do it, and I'll show you what we do, and you can take that pretty slow. Anything else before we get a little break in? Speaking of one of the great coaches, I told you already, I've already said this, the great Pete Robinette, and he gave me, I did end up going back to school to get a teaching degree, and so I was at St. Cloud State, and okay, I'd already got the coaching Joneses, from Minnetonka, so I had to keep doing it. We're gonna keep doing it, and Soccer Rapids, stand up, Pete, stand up.
Not very tall.
I understand. Pete gave me, that opportunity in the area there, and it worked out for Pete Kudrowski. Yep. Yeah. Went to state. So that was, it's that's one thing that's really kind of cool about being a pole coach is it's not many of us. So if you want to do it, can do it, get good at doing it, you can kind of pick and choose a little bit.
Networking is very valuable.
You're such a rare group, really rare group. Let's see. I wasn't even drinking out of my cup earlier. Oval coach says, because badass isn't an official title. As far as the whole mentoring thing goes, I'm really gonna press you to do that. Really, like I say, don't feel like you're imposing on a coach by asking him what I got this kid that I can't seem to get out of doing this thing. How can you? What do you do when you find that? I have that club in the summer, Zero Gravity, and if and we've had kids come from a long, like an hour and a half drive. If you have kids that wanna, and I don't want this to sound like an ad, for the club, but just to know that the resource is out there. I've got a Zero Gravity, some business cards here, just for my contact information. If you want to get a hold of me, go ahead and take one of those cards with you today before the end of the day, and I'll be, I'll do what I can to answer questions and push it and direction you might want to go. Anything else? We have I don't know if I mentioned the club in the second session or not, but it starts right after the state meet on that too. We go Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we have 4 2-hour sessions, 10 and 12 kids a group. We had this last year. We had 47 kids from 21 different schools. So it's a wonderful way to try to affect a lot of kids, and more than ever this last summer, their coaches would come, and some of them helped in the coaching, assisting me, and then some were just there to really see what was going on and how they could help their kid next March. And was it at the banquet last night where what's his name was talking about, we're not like football coaches, we're not going, and I that's one thing I just absolutely love about track in general, and then even more so I think about the pole vault community, that we're a tighter knit group, without regard to school, than the coaches in general, but it's a great group of people that you're coming on board to know, hopefully, and it's because it's the most difficult thing, pole vault. I think that adds to the elation, that kids feel, that you will feel when your kid is successful. I think it's way bigger than, well, you won the long jump. To me, that's just. Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that has been successful for you is that you have kids get a lot of video of themselves.
Right.
And then you ask them to watch it.
Yes.
And then it also helps for these coaches if they want to contact you because they are struggling with something.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, during the track season, he takes a lot of calls and helps a lot of people. But it helps to have the video for him to see, to have you help that student.
And yes, thank you. And I was, thank you, honey. And I was, there is, I do talk about actually, okay, you're gonna videotape your kids. What does that mean? And why? And I have a slide about that. And, because I get sent videos all the time, and it's like, I watch the video and I think, I'd love to help you, but don't video from, the long jump pit, or, it's like, you gotta be in a certain place to make it beneficial for me, you, the kid. You can't just videotape from an angle from back behind the fence, and you don't see any of the important information that we're gonna need to know. So I actually spend just a few minutes going through that in the next section, because there are some important things about that generally people don't seem to realize, and real fine-tuning, tweaky things about that too. All right, I know we're running a little long now, right? Any other questions? So, and I'm just going to be here between the sessions, so feel free to take a break and get a coffee. I did give up pop about a year ago. And then about 48 hours ago, I took back up and I'm Mountain Dew fixed. Yeah. Really? See, that is so amazing how things, that circle of life can. Pete Kudrowski was his. Oh, Casey Kudrowski? Okay, was Casey
conference meeting? I'm
No,
trying to get there in a couple
brothers.
hours, do what I can, but
That held up for over the
Pete,
year.
really? I'm shocked.